Good afternoon and welcome to Beyond the Rocks Veterans Day Special. We have a lot of incredible stories to share with you today in honor of the ones who are and have served.
In today's episode, we will highlight some inspiring stories, as well as looking at some unique coping strategies from veterans as they revisit their past.
Our reporters learned a way to cope with PTSD, some amazing elders from the Veterans Home, and some exhibits from Art Prize. Stay tuned throughout the show to witness these incredible stories.
Our first story is The Combat Quilter, a story about Andrew Lee, a military veteran who uses his passion of quilting into a coping mechanism. We'll send it down to Natalie Sicliano. I'm your host, Danowski.
And I'm Gabby Shirley. This is the Veterans Day Special.
Thanks, Gabby. We are surrounded by so many amazing people within our community and the communities near us. There's so many amazing people around us with stories we may never know, unless these stories are explored and told. And that's where Beyond the Rock comes in. Andrew Lee is a veteran, and this story is about how he found a healthy way to cope with coming back home. Andrew found that creating quilts brings peace to himself, but he also found the joy that he brings to others when he created something that is truly inspiring and meaningful.
I finally realized that quilting was what clicked for me.
Andrew Lee, a 20-year veteran and teacher at the RIT Training Institute, entered 2 of his quilts into Art Prize this year.
I decided on the iconic image, Raising of the Flag at Iwo Jima, because there's so many people still alive that could be influenced.
His other piece was dedicated in honor of the events of 9/11.
I really feel that there are so many people out there who suffer from something, some sort of traumatic event in their life that causes them anxiety or stress or underlying issues.
Lee wanted to link the rugged idea of war with the softer concept of quilting.
The therapeutic value that it offered me, I was hoping that that would bridge that gap to allow some of those other folks to realize it and use that as a therapeutic value to help not only myself, but to share with other people that they too could find something that would help them.
His first Art Prize piece took him about 400 hours.
On the Iwo Jima quilt, there are 12,100 pieces of 1-inch squares.
Whereas his 9/11 piece took him 687 hours, with
20,020 pieces, and those are 3/4-inch finished squares.
Lee's favorite part was talking to people about it, and his biggest accomplishment of this experience was watching the impact this piece had on
The police and firefighters. It was also intended for those nurses. And
this piece was so much more than a quilt. It positively affected many members of the community.
the gratitude emit from her through her tears was just like mind-blowing to me, that I can reach people on that level.
This has been Trina Verano with Beyond the Rock, signing off.
Andrew Lee's passion for helping others heal is very inspirational. Lee spent over 600 hours on a quilt dedicated to someone else, and this selflessness is truly heartwarming.
I completely agree. What personally touched me the most is when he talked about turning the rugged idea of war into something soft and personal. Lee used his own internal struggles as a motivator to change the lives of others and leave a lasting impact.
Our next story to share with you is about the Grand Rapids Veterans Home. I got to hear firsthand the experiences of 2 veterans, Stephen Wilkins and Henry Quant, and how the war has left a lasting impact on them today.
After the break, we'll send you down to Natalie to introduce this impactful story.
Coming up next on Beyond the Rocks Veterans Day Special, we get the chance to see how water and Mother Nature connects to different individuals and how art helps reach veterans suffering from PTSD.
There are so many amazing people within our community. Our team recently visited the residents at Grand Rapids Veterans Home and found a couple of those special stories of those who have served our country. We had the opportunity to hear their inspiring stories firsthand, and we would like to share them with you.
Veterans Stephen Wilkins and Henry Quant are both retired veterans now living in the Grand Rapids Veterans Home. In honor of Veterans Day, we got to hear their experiences both at war and the present.
I was in the Navy for 23 years. I just used to watch airplanes flying over, and I wanted to be a pilot.
I got draft notice.
With the unique circumstance of the Vietnam War and the draft, each veteran performed very different, unique duties.
I flew 8 years with the Army.
Trained me as a cook. Then they shipped our unit over to Vietnam. And they said, we don't need any cooks right now. So I became a section chief on a barge.
Henry Quant Post-war has had many procedures and surgeries to correct the damage and the wounds from the Vietnam War.
Yeah, while I was there, I was wounded. I received wounds to my back, my shoulder.
Stephen Wilkins gave us some lasting advice to future young adults looking at going into the service.
A nice foundation that they'll pay for you both before and after going into service. So
Hearing both Wilkins and Quant's experiences at war and how they are vastly different give us the perspective of what the war looked like for both of these veterans. This has been Gabby Shirley with Beyond the Rock, signing off. It's heartwarming that there are places that take such great care of those who have served our country. And I know I am personally thankful for those who have served to protect our freedoms.
To see how our veterans persevere through the struggles they face after their time of service is truly eye-opening.
Being able to cope with war experiences must take great inner strength. Fortunately, there are so many organizations and people that have chosen to help service men and women with healthy ways of healing.
Matthew McLeod is an influential example of one of those people. He introduced a new way to deal with stress by incorporating the Great Lakes with healing.
Vivian Olson was able to dive into how water therapy can positively improve the well-being of veterans by taking to the waves. All this and more right after the break.
The average person looks fine when you see them. But under the surface, something else is going on. One in 6 people suffer from mental health issues. You never know what's going on under the surface.
Stability between the mind and the body is what many strive for. This stability is even more important to those impacted by war, PTSD, and trauma, veterans. For the 22 and Warriors to Waves uses Michigan's beautiful lakes as a way to cope with the emotional and physical toll war has brought upon them.
So I was in the Navy myself. While I was in, we lost 6 of my buddies to suicide.
I served in the Marines. My crew, I would say, started to commit suicide.
About 22 veterans commit suicide each day, and Matthew and Josh wanted to know why. How come they were still alive and their fellow veterans were not? The solution? Water therapy.
Our biggest thing is we just take veterans out. There's a lot to go with water therapy and just being on the water, blue mind theory, and just the community that we build through the process. That's really what got us going down this path. I looked at what impacted my life, how it impacted it, and how I could share that with other people.
Paddleboarding and surfing brings a much-needed adrenaline rush to veterans in a safe and healthy way. It also calms the mind and allows for veterans to disassociate with all the mental, emotional, and physical problems they are facing.
My favorite part would be seeing the faces change as they leave, just watching the transition, seeing people smile and having that confidence again.
The impact that For the 22 and Warriors to Waves has had on veterans is life-changing and has long-lasting effects.
It was just nice and peaceful. The surf community is just kind. So, yeah, it changed my life a lot.
Just seeing the impact it had in his life by coming out and paddling with us was incredible.
If you are being a combat wounded veteran myself, there's no shame in the game for seeking help. Words can't explain what the feeling is when you're on the water. You know, we want to share the stoke.
This has been Vivian Olson with Beyond the Rock, signing off.
What a powerful story about one of the many ways people can overcome their trauma and cope in healthy ways.
It is truly heartwarming to see how someone was able to find a new way for veterans to cope with their PTSD and stress, and at the same time bring joy to their lives as they work through some of their own current struggles.
It really is special. There are so many different ways someone can cope with mental health issues. One way to cope is by art. During Art Prize, the Veteran Memorial Park down in Grand Rapids hosted 22 veterans to showcase their work.
The veterans' art showcases struggles, what gave them happiness, and their experiences with serving in the military. There are so many obstacles that veterans face while serving that can negatively affect their mental health. Art gave them an outlet to calm down and express any feelings.
It can be hard for many to speak on these topics since it's such a sensitive subject, but BTR reporter Elise got the privilege to talk to John Caterberg and Dr. Kimberly Barrington about their art and what struggles they face while serving.
Memorial Park houses 22 artists this year that have all served their country proudly and bring peace to those who have lost their lives. The number represents the 22 veterans who commit suicide every day. Talking with some of these astounding artists, I got to know their stories a little better.
I got into the Army Reserve at a very young age. I was like 17. I served up until Desert Storm. Then I got back into the National Guard and I was deployed to Afghanistan.
I served in the United States Navy. I was aboard 2 ships, the USS Holland AS-32 and the USS Emory S. Land AS-39.
Lots of work went into the pieces here, and that is shown through their dedication.
I love the scenes of Michigan, especially when I was deployed to Afghanistan. It's a nasty, dusty place, and I would think of the beautiful places in Michigan, and I would just mentally check out from Afghanistan.
This is how people think that it's a dark life, and we're just sad about the fact that we may have some type of disability, especially when you have a visible disability. But on the right side, that's me. I am full of color, full of life.
Every art piece has a story to tell and comes from a vision.
I also want to inspire people to see things in a different way. You know, that's part of the job of an artist, is to see things and to try to help other people see it.
I really try to spend a lot of my time dismantling people's perception of what they think that disability is. Women are veterans too.
The voices at Veterans Memorial Park help heal those who create, spread joy, and give a powerful message. This has been Elise Genter with Beyond the Rocks signing off.
So happy Art Prize gave a platform to these veterans to showcase their artwork. It truly is amazing to see the beautiful art they have made and how they have been affected by their time serving.
It really is amazing. Learning about all these stories has really opened my eyes to a new perspective. The people who serve in our military go through a lot and struggle even after their time serving, and I'm so glad we were able to spotlight their stories.
Thank you, veterans, for your service, your bravery, sacrifice, and strength. It does not go unnoticed. There are so many things you go through, and we are thankful for every single thing that you do. The strength that you show is empowering to many others.
I agree. All of these stories help spread awareness to what veterans faced and continue to face. Thank you so much for watching this Beyond the Rocks Veterans Special. Once again, I'm your host, Gabby Shirley.
And I'm Janae Danowski. Thank you to our veterans for all the work that they do. We can't wait to see you again.